This is a new experience for me. I mean, it's not completely new. I'm pretty sure I've seen that water tower before.
Lock us in the tower whenever we get caught.
Not sure it had a Superman symbol on it at the time, but certainly think I've seen the water tower itself before.
Porn!
Adam was just pointing out an area where there was a movie filmed at one point, but you could probably, I would imagine, point at any given area on this lot and have the exact same thing.
Opening at Gremlins is right here. Matter Movies from Pee-wee's Big Adventure right around the corner. National Lampoon's Vacation, the family truck show was parked right over in there. The pet store for Pee-wee's Big Adventure is right down in there. I mean, just, yeah, every single facade has been used in a TV show, movie, commercial, or some sort.
And of course, there's the Animaniacs water tower.
Oh no! The water tower!
Not sure how much we're going to be able to film once we get inside, but, you know, here in the lobby-esque area, there are still some interesting things to see. There are certain videos that you see and you don't really know when they were filmed. You could probably get a pretty good idea as to when this particular vlog was put together. Saw a whole bunch of Superman merchandise, including Superman Smashes the Klan. Don't believe for a second that that is not timely. Stephen Amell's costume from Arrow, the Supergirl costume with Melissa Benoist, Grant Gustin's Flash costume, some actual Harry Potter costumes, Rupert Grint and Daniel Radcliffe, a little bit of a size difference. Adam has informed us that it's a rookie move to go over there and get a whole bunch of coffee before the tour, because once the tour starts, you're not going to have a whole lot of time to jump back off if you need to real quick. This incredibly important safety tip was brought to you by Splorin. If you haven't done so already, subscribe for future safety tips involving coffee and peeing in a studio. Cool little Warner museum in here. There's the Warner family, classics, innovation, television. Right, here's the big one for me at least, animation. Warner Animation was huge for me growing up. I was a huge Looney Tunes fan. And then when I got a little bit older, Tiny Toons, that would be when I would say probably a 5th grade, maybe give or take, into 7th grade. A little bit later, Animaniacs. But like Dallas, they just showed a clip from Dallas over there. Warner Brothers water tower.
I guess everybody's water tower is leaking.
With its more well-known, let's say, facade on it. And on the ground you can see what looks like the studio itself. Looks like we're walking across the studio, which is kind of cool.
We're here for the Spanish or at 1 o'clock. Si está español a las 1, vengan a la mesa aquí. Just come over to the table here.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll be able to film. 9 times out of 10, I'm told you are not able to film on this tour. So I'll show you what I can, and I won't show you what I can't. Warner's phone book. It's an enemies list. Oh wait, it's a phone book. Well, good, because I wouldn't want to make these people my enemies.
A few moments later.
You saw attached to the ship, including that Best Actress. Jack Nicholson has 3, but just like Streep, one of his is for the supporting category. A hotel lobby. Do you want a ski lodge, a doctor's office, an ice cream parlor, a liquor store? All those interiors can be built in this building here. Classic film like Casablanca, kind of storage is available at that time. A lot of it does get up there. And when you're up at Universal Studios, that's the first thing you see when you look down here over the years, let me tell you. And one of the reasons we built the water tower that many of you saw earlier back in 1933, it was to contain water that we could come back and host the Oscars again. These 2 stages also belonged to young Sheldon. Currently, they are the last 2 stages being used for shooting. Interesting scene was filmed inside this stage, because on the other side of this building is another stage, so it's 2 stages combined. There's a wall that separates the 2 with a big door. This is where they filmed the iconic horse race scene from 1964's My Fair Lady with Audrey Hepburn. They had horses running at full sprint from one end, and they came right out this door and then looped back through. They just kept running in a circle. floor. So see, the parking spaces say Young Sheldon, but the signs above reflect Shrink Studio, since Jack Warner retired in 1968, has occupied that office. This is also where all the great stars of Hollywood's golden era, the Humphrey Bogarts, the Betty Davises, the Joan Crawfords, the Elizabeth Taylors, you name them. If they were under contract and made a movie here, they were given a small apartment or bungalow in this area of the studio. Standard contract for most actors was 7 years. Some said they were indentured servants because these studios had a lot of control over the actors. Currently with Jennifer Hudson, there's her parking space right there. Some of the biggest names with charity, and so often these stars come to her show and surprise children that are terminally ill, and they come and surprise them. They don't know they're going to be here when they come to visit, but they get to meet them, hang out, have a party. Speaking here, Bogart is part of two of the greatest movies that not only this studio produced, but that were ever produced in film history. One is The Maltese Falcon, and the other is Casablanca. Casablanca also starred Miss Ingrid Bergman, of the Pope in Italy. So this is stages, to mention this, there was a very famous TV special back in the late 70s called the Star Wars Holiday Special, and that was filmed here on stages 1 and 2. So we're going to park and we're going to have a chance to do some exploring. Invite audience members to come and see what's up. Look at this lighting system up here. This is only half of what's usually here. Some of it's been removed because they're on what we call summer break and hiatus. So you've seen it in the view. This is where Everybody Loves Raymond was filmed here in this stage 5. If y'all want his autograph, he's sitting right there. Where's it? Here, let's look for parking, because as you can see on the right is the fountain from the show, friends. Let's see what we got as far as availability over here. There you go. You know, the city of New York has had so many complaints that they've actually built a replica of this fountain in Central Park, because people all come there and they go, hey, where's the Friends fountain? Well, that's in Los Angeles. So we'll...
Friends.
Follow me this way. Here, we'll get back on our car.
Got a shot on the Friends couch with Adam and Greg and tour guide Gary. I'll see if I can get a copy of that. Building over there was apparently in Batman '89.
To spend at least 3 hours a day in a classroom-like setting is mandated by the state of California. The Motion Picture Academy has made it, sometimes they will put them on display. Some of them are almost an entire story high, depending on what movie they were used for. And now the interior of this school set is now inside stage 16, the stage that we saw all those wonderful water effects happening. If you don't watch Abbott Elementary, I do recommend it. Very, very, very funny. Back to the show Shameless. This was Patsy's Pies here on the left side, who's worked in Los Angeles over the past 80 plus years, has walked this street at least once in their life. Doja Cat did a music video here called First National Pictures. Who owned this property? We bought First National Pictures, and that's when we inherited this property back in 1929. And Charlie Chaplin and Mary Pickford made movies here before they left First National to go form their own company called United Artists, which is still in business to this day after they founded it in 1922. Friends walking through the streets of New York, generally these are the sidewalks that those actors walked through. We have to prepare this production. But that's the theater that shows all of our first run films and also shows many of our classic films.
At the far end of New York Street, you'll find an awe-inspiring courthouse that has represented civic buildings, businesses, and banks in film and TV since the 1930s. The imposing stature of this facade, with its distinctive Greek columns and grand staircase, makes for an impressive set piece.
So all the wonderful things are filmed right outside this space here. And if you know the movie The Greatest Showman, a lot of promotional material took place out in front of this courthouse. And now some of the guns that Clint Eastwood used as character Dirty Harry are housed in there. Fuller House. That house does exist in the city of San Francisco. We just built our own version of it here, because if you've ever had a film crew come to your neighborhood, it is not fun.
Oh, the pet store? The pet store?
Yeah, I see it.
There's the gazebo in the center of town there. And there's not always a gazebo there. Sometimes there is a statuary there.
The tour is done. Now it's sort of a self-guided thing. This is a little area that they got set up for coffee and food and things like that. They've also got a little gallery / museum in here. We can kind of see some of the things that were filmed in this particular studio. As they were explaining to us, this particular studio lot, roughly 100 acres, making it one of the smaller of the major ones. For instance, they're saying MGM was 600. But they do a lot with the room that they've got to work with. Wow. These are all the rejected Pauly Shore scripts from the 90s. Got some Space Jam things like this. The real magic of this room, see things like Crazy Rich Asians and Crazy Rich Asians and Selena and the Elvis movie. Really an incredible collection from movies and TV shows I've never seen. That is not, however, the case for this particular one. This is the Batman cowl from Michael Keaton. This is probably the movie that has had the most bearing on my life. I mean, the movie's over 30 years old, so it's not really overly surprising that it's kind of fallen apart, but yeah, rubber doesn't generally age well. There's the original Friends set. Well, one of the original Friends sets. As you know, there's like probably about a half dozen. 3 in particular that get used the most, but you can get your photo taken on the set. Got a lot of stuff from the Big Bang Theory here. I get asked all the time if I am a Big Bang Theory fan because I'm a comic book fan. And of course they have a lot of comic book references in it. I'm going to level with you. I did not like the Big Bang Theory. Honestly, in this day and age, I cannot deal with anything that has a laugh track to it. The moment I hear a laugh track on anything, I get turned off. Which is funny because I grew up with them and it wasn't a thing at all. I didn't even notice them, but nowadays, laugh track, I'm out. But for those of you who are into the Big Bang Theory, well, there you go. Looks like you can come over here and get your video or your photo taken with the bat pod or the broom from Harry Potter, or with someone screaming in Spanish at me. Yo no sé. Look at these Foley stages. I've always been fascinated by the sound effects and how they really create them. Look at this though. That's awesome. For all of you Friends fans, you could have coffee in the ladies' apartment. You can grab yourself a Marcel with the star of Monkey Trouble. To quote Bill Hickey, a movie that tells you all the trouble you can get into with a monkey. Craft services over here, and we're actually about to jump back on another one of these little shuttles, take us into another portion of the tour.
Alright there folks, I will be your tour guide for the next 40 or so seconds because I'm going to be dropping you guys off at Act. 2 rules for Action and Magic. Number 1 being there are no food or drinks allowed inside unless it's bottled water. Everything else will be asked to be tossed out or safely put away without it spilling. The whole entire lasso does light up. It goes from the very bottom of the floor all the way to the tippy top of the ceiling. There's going to be a glowing part of the actual lasso. You should find somebody that looks like me or dressed like me. We're more than happy to help you guys out. And
walking to the last part of the tour. This right here. This is the movie. This is the movie that changed it all for me. My favorite movie since 1989. Tim Burton's Batman, now known as Batman 89. Incredible. Screen used costumes. The Riddler. Of course, Oz, Oswald Cobblepot, or Oz Cobb as he was called in this one for the Penguin. The gates from Arkham Asylum, right next to Mr. Freeze and the Joker. It's interesting, they got different versions here. You've got the Joel Schumacher version, you got the Christopher Nolan version. Over there, you've got the newer versions that are Matt Reeves' version. Although I don't remember for sure how much participation he had on the Penguin TV show. Producer, I just don't remember if it went much further than that for him. But very cool stuff. Here's some costumes from the new Superman movie, largely which filmed in my old hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. That was Metropolis. At least lots of it was Metropolis. Or lots of the city became Metropolis. They used a little bit of Cincinnati as well, as I understand. Over here from the Dark Knight movies, you've got the Tumbler Batmobile. We'll get over to the costumes in a moment, but first, you have a sort of Wonder Woman lasso of truth, but a definite screen-used Wonder Woman's armor in the back over there. Got a Wonder Woman costume over here. This is from the Zack Snyder version of the character. Kind of interesting to see the different Batman costumes here. As you can see, there's pretty big difference in size. Over here, Michael Keaton is on the far left. He looked a lot bigger in the movie, but as you can see, he was actually, I believe, the shortest of the Batman actors. He was 5'10", maybe, give or take. Next to that, you have the Val Kilmer version. Moving on, George Clooney. Next up, you've got Christopher Bale. You've got one of my favorites, and I still think underrated, Ben Affleck. And then on the very end, you've got Sparkly Vampire, turned surprisingly good Batman, Robert Pattinson. I think Michael Keaton will probably always be my favorite version of on-screen Batman. Well, movie on-screen Batman at least. He was the first for me. Don't get me wrong, there were other Batman before, but he's the first one that was sort of comic accurate. Over here is a display of the Batman capes. The one on the bottom is from the new movie. I don't know, they don't really specifically say what the ones up top are, but they're all roughly the same size, which would generally lend me to think that perhaps they were all made for the same person. I don't know. It's a good movie though. If you haven't seen the new Superman, go check it out. Here is the Zachary Levi Shazam suit. You probably get it for about $15. It's too bad. It started off so strong. Jason Momoa's Aquaman. Unpopular opinion, I do not like this version of the costume. I know a lot of people say that this is the best Batman costume that has ever been on the screen. I do not like it.
Are we supposed to turn that back?
Oh, it makes me so happy. Look at this over here, by the way. The Batcave. Look at this. I believe this could be the real one. Now, you've been with me a couple times where we've stumbled onto sort of real ones, like ones used for production or for promotional use. I get the impression this is actually the real one, yeah?
Probably one of the screen used ones.
One of the screen used ones. And this over here is the Matt Reeves version, which is actually much larger than I would have thought by just what I saw in the movie itself. Look at the cows. Again, the Michael Keaton cow is perfection. The shape, the way the ears are, they're the perfect length. The eyebrows on it accentuates the way his face looks anyways. You get up to the top, there's another version up there. That's the Batman 89 up there. This one right here is your Batman Returns. Over here we have a couple of others. I want to say that this one is, you know, I was about to say that this is George Clooney, but I think this is Val Kilmer. No, it is. It's George Clooney. I think that one might be Val Kilmer. A couple of different versions of Ben Affleck's right here. Wow, look at this. Over here we have the Christopher Reeve version of the Superman suit. Honestly, growing up, this is what we all dreamt of one day being. I know what you're thinking, but if you were around then, you understand why. Over there we have the Marlon Brando version of Jor-El, I believe. It was kind of glowing and sparkly white in the movie, but that was movie magic. And then over there, we have the Linda Carter version of Wonder Woman. And by the way, was she as big and bulky as Wonder Woman should have been according to the comics? Possibly not, but I'll tell you, once you've seen the eyes on Linda Carter, it's hard to see anyone else as Wonder Woman. Over here is part of their museum area. You can see a whole bunch of the Oscars that the studio has won. I think these may be their best picture. Outstanding drama series for the Waltons. Outstanding comedy series for Murphy Brown. Yeah, there's a lot in there. And then over here, Humphrey Bogart's suit. Wow. And of course, Ingrid Bergman's suit. I don't know if you want to call it pantsuit, skirt suit, her costume. Right over here, we get into the Harry Potter section. This is going to be sacrilege. I don't have any particular feelings one way or the other about Harry Potter. I liked it. It doesn't have the same meaning to me that it does for a lot of people, but I was also not really of the age that a lot of the biggest fans were when they came out. I enjoyed the films, absolutely, but I just don't have that same connection that a lot of people probably would think that I would. The DC stuff was certainly a little bit more in my wheelhouse. Over here, you can see where you could actually come in here and watch them make a couple of potions, or watch the potions make themselves in the case of that cauldron right there. Looks like you can buy a wand over here. Now, obviously, those of us from Orlando are kind of used to that with Universal already. Looks like you can come over here and get the sorting hat put on your head. And the sorting hat will tell you what house you're supposed to be sorted into. I'm mildly interested. This, to me, is a little bit more interesting, though, because my daughter loves this section. Actually, when we moved into a house after she saw the movies that has an under-stair closet of sorts, she asked if she could take ours. Oh, look at this. Screaming plants. Who doesn't enjoy screaming plants? Apparently I shouldn't do that. Of course, no tour worth its salt will end anywhere but a gift store. And I got to say, as far as gift stores go, this one is actually pretty good. For a Batman mega fan like I am, they have some incredible merchandise here, including one of my favorite jackets ever. Amazing. And of course, all the t-shirts you could ever want. I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. Hey, if you like studio tours, well, this is the only one I've got so far, but we have some other great stuff on this channel. I think you'll like it. If you would feel so inclined, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It'll tell you every time something new gets uploaded. And hey, I hope you'll join us again next time when we do just a little exploring.